Good afternoon. I think a lot of us growing up would have heard the phrase, fight like a girl. Whenever any woman, any girl showed the slightest shred of strength, she was called Mardani, because apparently you cannot stay a woman and be strong. You suddenly become manly, you are Mardani. But that was then. Today, if you are fighting like a girl, it means you are putting up a damn good fight. And the embodiment of that are two ladies here with me, two officers here with me. Thank you very much for joining us here. Vice Admiral Arti Sarin, DG of the Armed Forces Medical Services and Commanding Officer in the Indian Army, Colonel Anshu Jamwal. Can we have a huge round of applause for both the officers? And as something that Vice Admiral Sarin pointed out, they are also a picture of the leaps and bounds that we've seen in our armed forces, a generational change and a generational progress that has happened. Everyone talks about the challenges. We keep having these debates in social media, in life, about are we really ready to have women in the army? Have we really accepted them? Are they ready for operational roles? So, ma'am, I don't want to start with the challenges. I want to start by asking you, what are the changes that you personally have seen in the last 4 decades? How has the Indian Army, the Indian Armed Forces evolved and made it possible and even aspirational for women to be here?
Thank you, Padmaja. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Jai Hind. Your question and your statement is very right. We represent 2 different generations. I'm from the Armed Forces Medical Services, which began as early as 1953. So we have had women and women leaders. The first Lady General, the first 2-star was in 1987, who commanded Command Hospital, Lucknow, followed by 2 3-stars in 2007. So they paved the path for us. I joined in 1987. I saw changes then. I did not find any difference in the treatment of me or my fellow interns when I was doing my internship, or when I went to do and joined in the army, and when I went forward to do my courses or any other thing. Everything in our core is based on meritocracy, how well you do in your academics and how well you're marked. So it is absolutely, I would say, gender just and gender neutral. And then in 1998, the government took on what I would say is there were so many reforms that were happening, and then the government took on taking women in the other arms and services. So that started in 1998. And then there was even further progress because they were given opportunities. There was further progress. Women started joining NDA over the years. They started getting a permanent commission. And now they have a whole lot of representation, their whole new roles, leadership roles. As you can see, she's commanding a unit. I'm extremely proud of her, this young lady here. So she represents the next generation who are the non-medical, officers who have joined the armed forces, as women. Yes.
Colonel Jamwal, have you seen any kind of resistance ever? Because we talk a lot about mindsets, that the Indian mindset, isn't really geared towards accepting women in positions of power in general, and especially in the armed forces where you really have to be regimented. Once the CO has said jump, you ask how high. But did you ever find that being a woman, there was a slight, did it ever happen?
Jai Hind, everybody. First of all, I would like to say thanks, and it's a great honor to share a stage with ma'am here. Talking about challenges that I joined. When I joined in year 2006. And in Army, I'm commissioned in Corps of Army Air Defence. So we started having women officers in Corps of Army Air Defence in the year 2004. So I was the first woman officer in my unit when I got commissioned. So when I joined, I think there were apprehensions in both the fronts, in the men also and to me also, I realized. But then I think once they know that you are capable of doing it, they ultimately recognize you, and then when you put that lens of gender to a side, it becomes so smooth. It becomes a home. And my unit since then has been first home, rather saying that it is second home. It has been the first home for me. So challenges, if I'll say that challenges are not there, I would be wrong. Challenges do exist. They are sometimes in terms of, physical standards, or when you are, you have to maintain the professional and personal fronts. But then I think, I believe rather, that army bakes up the genes in you to take on challenges, be it the battlefield or in any facet of life. So I have been surviving and thriving, and I wish to continue doing so. I'm commanding presently, and I don't see my men raising any eyebrows or showing any doubts in taking orders from me. So I think if you know your job well, there is nothing beyond that is expected out of you.
And that is a story I think every woman will always tell you. Balancing your life, work-life balance gets a whole new meaning when you're talking to women. But things are a lot better now. When you were commissioned, ma'am, at that time, was there, from your personal experience, ever a moment where you found it really daunting? And how did you get over it? Because this is going to be very instructive to a lot of women now.
Yes, I can. I had a lot of, I was fortunate, I had a lot of family support. But yes, one moment was very daunting when I was suddenly asked to go to the valley. My son was 3 years old, so I had to leave him behind in Mumbai, and my parents had to come down to look after him. And I was away for 3.5 months. And you could speak only once a week because I was in very far ahead. We were there to look after the civilian population at that point of time, way back in 1998. So that was daunting, but
it's physically daunting because you're in a very forward area.
But we found a way of getting over it. I had support, and the armed forces family is the greatest support. Your unit supports you. There were people from my department who would handle my family, the problems that I had. My parents were there. People would check on them. So we get by with a little help from our friends and colleagues from the armed forces family.
Did you ever have any such experience where, you almost felt you were at breaking point?
There have been ups and downs in everybody's life, but when I joined my unit, when you are talking about regimentation, so regimentation is like something, a different experience altogether. Like I have seen my seniors, subalterns and COs, mentorship, we take it as it is not just a, guiding, it is nurturing an officer since the officer joined a unit. And then that support system remains with you throughout your life. Till now also, if I get stuck somewhere or I have to, I just fall back to my seniors and I just fall back to them and seek guidance. And they are always there to help me out, or through their lived experience, they share their experiences. And
this is so contrary to what you hear in public discourse, because usually the impression is that, there is this huge wall of men who are trying to keep the women out. They don't want them in. But you were saying that some of your biggest mentors have been men. And you've had troops who supported you as well.
I've had a lot of male mentors who have guided me throughout.
And your troops.
And the troops. And I've been very, very honored to support, serve under them. Air Marshal Chaudhary is right here, sitting in the audience. I was DGMS Air when he was the Air Chief.
No, and please, a huge round of applause, because often we forget to thank the allies. It's a two-way street. Yes, women have struggles, but they need male allies as well for them to get anywhere in life. You need your male partner, you need your male allies. But can you tell us a little bit about your troops? Again, there is the aspect of how physically daunting it is. I want to talk about the terrain that you serve in, not just in India, not just in forward areas, but also you've been in Congo, a place which is, in the throes of a civil war right now. How different is it, if at all, being a lady officer there as opposed to somebody else?
So I have been privileged to get selected for representing our country in the global experience I've got while serving in Congo. I was posted there as a military observer. So I was responsible to monitor and report and connect to the peoples and uphold the peace over there. So I got the opportunity to serve with the officers and soldiers of different nations. And we used to go for long patrols to far-flung areas in Congo, where the road connectivity is just next to zero. And then what I think as Army officer or Indian Army officer, which helped me out there, was that the diversity we have in our nation, that plays a very crucial role there, because there it is the balance between the strength and the sensitivity. So it is that when you are mixing that professionalism with compassion, that requires there when you are on peacekeeping missions. So it was very, I was very comfortable, and the people of Congo were very comfortable while interacting and sharing their hardships and challenges there. So I was very comfortable in having that kind of conversation. I won't say that being a woman officer, that compassion was there with me. I think all Indian soldiers who are there in Congo, we have that thing in our ethos. So we could sail it very, very normally, and it was like nothing extra we are doing it. It just came within us.
Vice Admiral Sarin, what would you say to people who say that women are not mentally and physically as strong? Biologically, women cannot be mentally and physically as strong as men, and that by itself is a problem when you're in uniform.
These kind of critics are people who fear change or reform. So I would generally explain to them, that it's all about what you can, how professionally competent you are, and how you can, be selecting of the right person for the right job. The most nations across the world have a very small difference in the physical standards, which we have to accept. After all, we have two different sets of chromosomes. So we have to accept that. If you keep that in mind, I don't think anybody should really differentiate this. We should not kind of, we cannot judge on gender. We should just, we should judge on what they bring to the table. We have fixed criteria for that. Like I just told you, it's all about meritocracy. Subtle differences in the two are looked for, and the bottom line is the right person for the right job.
But what about the argument that you cannot wish away the fact that biologically the both are different?
May I? Okay, I believe that equality in sexes is unquestionable. But then it is of paramount that while implementing this, we cannot compromise the potential of armed forces. So if you have the capability, yes, you should be there in armed forces. That includes the physical endurance and mental resilience both.
I might add, she's in a different, branch, and I'm in a different one. Ours is a medical branch, so we kind of are shoulder to shoulder. We can do whatever, the officers in our branch do. So her point of view is different.
Is there one reform, and there have been constant reforms. There's a year of reform also that has been declared. What is the one thing on your wish list that you would want as the primary agenda point right now when it comes to the reforms for the next 5 years?
The Armed Forces Medical Services is a supporting arm to the Indian Armed Forces, Army, Navy, as well as the Air Force. So what would be my aim in the next 5 years would be to, give the highest standards of medical care. So for that, I would require to completely modernize all the equipment that I have, which I'm doing right now. I am trying to differentiate between care at peace and care at war. So for that, I am trying to improve the medical schedule of PARs so that my procurement cycles come down. I'm able to, get the supply chain management going faster, to get smaller equipment, lighter equipment that can go out to the field areas, point of care devices. We're also looking at getting artificial intelligence and also using some of the AI and the robotics that our non-medicals are already using to be able to use for our logistics as well as casualty evacuation. Get lighter transports. We also now, with the changing domain, we will probably have to now give combat care closer to the point of injury. So that's called prolonged casualty care. So now I have to devise systems where I can take and treat patients at the point of care. So I have to get people moving forward. My units have to be agile. So I have to look at all those systems. Also look at HR, try to recruit as many people as I can. Civil-military partnerships we are looking at. We are actually doing a lot of MOUs with them when we need them, so that when our people go to war, they will be available for us in peace. So these are the few things.
Any specific thing that you think would make the armed forces more inclusive? Any reform in that direction?
And to end that, I have already put it down that we would take the women percentage to 25%. We have already reached 22.5%. So I think in 5 years' time, we shall be there.
Who knows, maybe 33%. We anyway want to have reservation.
Why not?
In every other
we
thing
don't
for
have
women
reservations.
at 33%.
We're just going to look at it and see how it moves.
Yeah,
but we're
holistically.
very optimistic about that.
What do you think, ma'am, for making the army more inclusive? What reform do you think you would want to see in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think we have already started taking the reforms, and we are achieved quite a lot in this in last 5 to 8 years. If I'll see now, you can see the girls cadets going to RIMC, Sainik School, and NDA opening is also there. As I said, when I got commissioned in 2006, that time so many opportunities were not there in the, so many branches were not open for women officers, but now we have women officers in aviation, in artillery also.
More than 21 branches.
So this is, these we have already started taking place, and then when permanent commission coming into place, we have now equal opportunities for women officers also, wherein we are going for command roles, and we are going for competitive exams and instructional appointments and higher headquarters, and you name a thing and it is there already. So we are on the verge of it. Maybe in coming years, I would see that the integration into more of the technical driven roles, wherein cyberspace, electronic warfare, and drone operations. This is where we can further improve and give the avenues to officers to contribute.
And I will come to the Operation Sindoor and the role you played there in just a second. But I have to say, I feel I'm a little guilty of making everything sound very onerous, in the armed forces if you are a woman. For anyone watching right now, any woman watching right now, any young girls watching right now, tell me the most exciting thing that you've done on the job. Let's make this exciting. Why should the women watching right now want to join the armed forces? What is the one thing you think civilian life you would have never been able to do, but the armed forces helped you do?
Okay, the greatest reward I think I have got after joining armed forces is the trust your men shows in your leadership, irrespective of the gender you have. So in Op Sindoor, my unit was deployed, and I have seen men achieving, their morale was just extraordinary, and it was a different experience that I am not even able to share it with in words. To express it into words is very difficult. But I think that is the biggest reward that I have got after joining army, and obviously inspiring younger women is also one of them that one can achieve while donning the uniform.
Just describe that moment to us a little bit. That moment when you were, in the air defense during Operation Sindoor. What was that moment like?
Operation Sindoor has been is unlike anything we had seen before. Our Corps commander or the army commanders have already given a brief. In fact, our Chief of Army Staff has beautifully summed up, wherein he said that we were playing chess move. That means that we did not know that what the enemy is going to do and what action we will be going to take it. So when the Pahalgam attack was there, then within hours the army was called into action. And since then, that it was a continuous cycle of threat assessment, the deliberations, the iterations which were required wherever it was required. And the commanders at all levels, they were crafting op plans. And it was the men who executed and brought those plans into life on ground. And being a CO, commanding officer, I think it is a very important link between the hierarchy and the men. So the plans are being made by the commanders at all levels. And to execute it on ground, it is the responsibility of the commanding officers. So when my unit was AD unit, like all other AD units, we were told to, we were responsible to shield the critical military and civil infrastructure from the aerial threats, including the drones or the missiles and the loiter munitions. Within 72 hours, we deployed in the AD grid was over a kilometer, 200 kilometer of stretch. We were there within 72 hours. And then as the threat was envisaged, the threat manifested as envisaged by our commanders, and in another 4 days, we could see sighting of around more than 1,000 drones in different locations. And I was getting calls from every troop location that I've seen, and so that feeling that we could achieve it, and there was not even a single asset which got damaged because of this in our area, was something which gives me high, and that boosted the morale of my men also. Their performance was extraordinary. And then being a CO, you have to be omnipresent. You have to go to them, to be with them. That is what is the leadership. In fact, not even me, even our brigade commanders and corps commanders, they also ensured to visit each and every forward location and meet the boys on ground. And so this threat was something which we had never envisaged. See, I before this, I couldn't even have imagined ever that my guns are deployed in urban areas, right inside the heart of the cities, and thundering over the skies. We have done this, but we have done it in the constrained environments, in the field firing ranges. But this was something, and the boys who were doing it, they were so proud, and that feeling was amazing. After that, when we did the debriefing later on, and I asked the experiences from them, that was such a heart-warming moment for me, like, to hear that. Yes. So that still gives goosebumps to me whenever I listen to them. And for all COs, I think, who has got the privilege to command the unit during Ops Sindoor, that these memories will savor for our lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that is an incentive, ma'am, what would you say is the one incentive to all the women watching right now, the girls watching right now, the one incentive that you thought was, this is why I am in the armed forces, and so should you be? What would be that one episode, one incident?
Being a professional, my one incentive would be here, to have extreme professional satisfaction, which I've had. My high would be every time a patient gets well is a high for me. There are so many occasions that the Armed Forces has given me to feel a high for. I got to command the unit. I did my internship. I got to command the unit that I studied in, the Armed Forces Medical College. I got an education. I got a super specialty. I got to train in Gamma knife. I got this wonderful Armed Forces family around me. I am trained. I have experience. I've become a leader. I'm the senior most woman leader of the Armed Forces Medical Services. So, ladies out there, please come and join the Indian Armed Forces. It's an excellent profession.
And your girls, they clearly had enough of incentive at home.
I have 11, 12 brigadiers at the moment who are commanding units, 41 commanding officers. I am so proud of all of them, and they're doing very well. And that's what I said when you mentioned the 30%. You'll find them wearing 3 stars in the near future.
Well, if you ever needed a reason to join the Indian Armed Forces, you've got the reason right here. Thank you very much for having joined us and shared your experiences. A huge round of applause.